Here are 6 cold approach openers ranked from best to worst. After talking to thousands of girls and having tons of success and rejections, these are my rankings, starting with one that is very powerful if used the right way. About a month ago, I was in Norway at a music festival standing in line at the bar when I saw a girl having a Cleopatra tattoo on her arm. And I complimented her on it. I said, "I really like that Cleopatra tattoo." And then we got into conversation from there. Complimenting a girl on something other than her looks is A tier. This is very powerful if you can do it the right way and you can be smooth with it. So this can be anything. It can be a tattoo. I remember complimenting another girl who had a pistol tattoo with a suppressor. I genuinely thought it was really cool. Or it can be an article of clothing. Something other than her physical beauty is a very powerful way to start the conversation because you're not pedestalizing her beauty, but you're just being a very charming, smooth guy. So the only caveat to this is my younger self was super shy and awkward, and when I tried to deliver a compliment, it came out really bad. I've told this story before, but there was a time when I was just getting social, developing my social skills, and I complimented a lady who was 40 on her shoes because they were colorful, and it just came out so awkward. I got red in the face, and it wasn't a smooth way to start the conversation. So for that reason, it's A tier, because if you want to apply this, you need to be confident, you need to be smooth in your delivery, and if you are, it's insanely powerful. And boys, if you need to learn how to start and have great conversations, I built a conversation mastery guide for you, outlining all the steps that I take to start and have all my conversations after talking to thousands of girls. This is all my advice put into this one guide for free for you. You can grab that. It's the first link in the description below. This next one is easier if you're nervous, but it's also less effective. So when I'm standing in line at the bars or clubs, I'll usually ask a girl something like, "What do you think of this place?" And then we get into conversation from there, and I ask her, "Is there any other spots you like to go around here? How do you like this city?" And then I can transfer that conversation over to trying to get to know her. And I can introduce myself and ask her name. I can ask her some questions. Have you lived here your whole life? And that's a really good way to get into conversation if you're a little bit more nervous and you don't have the confidence to just be very forward with a girl. The only issue here is that if you don't have your nonverbal communication dialed in and you're not the best version of yourself, this has the potential to turn platonic. So for that reason, it's B tier, in that this is a good way to start having conversations in a very low resistance way. And you can build the sexual tension from here. I've done it plenty of times, but you need to be the best version of yourself. You need to be charming. You need to have your nonverbal communication dialed in. You need to be holding eye contact, smiling, strong body language. If you have everything like this, you can definitely use this and have some great success with it. Now, this is an opener I've used at least 1,000 times. So recently I was just in Norway. I was standing at the bar with a friend when I saw a girl hold strong eye contact with me from across the way sitting in a booth. So I immediately held the eye contact, smiled, grabbed my drink, walked up to her and asked her for her name. I introduced myself, and within a couple seconds, within 30 seconds, we were kissing, and she ended up coming home with me later that night. Asking a girl her name is my all-time favorite opener, and that for that reason, this is S tier. This one is so powerful because it's not a pickup line or anything like that, but you are kind of introducing yourself. You're trying to get to know this girl, and she kind of knows why you're asking her name. So it's a very confident, assertive way to approach a girl. So you're not going to go and introduce yourself to an ugly girl. I've never done that. I have no interest in doing that. You're only going to introduce yourself to a girl you find attractive, and she knows this. She knows why you're talking to her, and she's just going to find this very attractive that you have the confidence just to come up, look her in the eyes, smile, and be like, "What is your name?" That's my favorite. It's given me tons and tons of success, and I would highly recommend it for every single one of you. And this is the most entry-level way to start talking to a girl if you're absolutely terrified. I don't have any personal stories on this, so I'll just tell you about it. It's basically just going up to a girl and asking her for directions or something along those lines. Like asking a girl, "What time does the bar close?" or "Do you know how to get to this place?" That is going to be very, very difficult to transition into more of a personal conversation because you're starting off with something a little bit transactional. You're just trying to get some information out of her, and you're not necessarily flirting or doing anything that's going to lead to building sexual tension. It's kind of an ends to a means. It's a very closed-ended type of question and interaction as a whole. After you get the answer, it's going to be very hard for you to transition this into something personal. I mean, you can do it, but it's not going to be very effective. It's a very low confidence and very unassertive way to start talking to girls. So for that reason, I'm not a big fan of it. This is going to be D tier. It's going to be very hard for you to have success with your conversations and interactions if you're asking a girl for directions or something like that. So an environmental question that's closed-ended and doesn't really lead anywhere, it's just kind of asking for, something transactional, kind of a means to an end, like what time does this place close, how can I get to this place, is not going to lead you to success. And it's the most entry-level way to start having a conversation with a girl. Now, this next one is hit or miss, and this is going to be complimenting a girl on her beauty, going up to her and saying, I think you're very beautiful, what is your name, something like that. I personally don't do this because I'm not a big fan of pedestalizing a girl right off the bat. I personally like to treat her like an equal. And if you're not a guy who is 100% on your shit, a top 1% guy who's got his body, looks, style, money, status dialed in, I don't think this approach is going to work for you. I've heard guys like Tate and Justin Waller say that they use this, and I can see how it could potentially work for those Chad type of guys who are just so dialed in, because these girls know it's not coming from a weird place. But if you're not in that situation, I do not recommend starting with something like this. So for that reason, it's going to be C tier, as it does work for some guys, and it might be working for you if you're a complete Chad. You're absolutely dialed in with money, status, every aspect of your life, fitness. Then yeah, maybe give it a try, but I would personally stray away from it. And this last one I really like and is also highly effective. So I was in Florida at my building when I went down to the pool and I saw an attractive girl where there's normally just a bunch of old people. So I immediately went up and I asked her, "Excuse me, do you mind if I join you?" And she said, "Sure." And then I sat down next to her and we started talking. That is how simple it can be to start a conversation. And this is one where someone's kind of doing something. If she's tanning at the beach, if she's doing some sort of sporting activity, or there's a group of girls doing a sporting activity, you can use something like this to break into that group and start talking to them. This is a very confident one where if you're just going in with strong body language, you're assertive, you deliver it smoothly, this is a very polite and respectful approach that most girls are going to be open to, especially if you're the best version of yourself. Most girls are not going to reject you to join a game of volleyball or anything like that. Whether you're at the beach, this is a very powerful one for people who are doing some sort of activity and you're kind of interrupting them. It's a very polite, charming way to interject yourself and get talking to a girl or a group of girls. And for that reason, this one is A tier. It is very powerful if used the right way. And once again, boys, if you need help knowing what to say throughout the entire conversation, pick up my Conversation Mastery Guide right now. It's completely free, and it's the first link in the description below.